Okay, back. You'll see now that this side has got highlights, and that's a little bit more subtle on that side. And on his rump, hindquarters, or whatever you want to call it, I added a bit more highlight and then blended it back a bit, and more on the face. You'll also notice that if you're thinking about light coming down, that leg is coming forward, so I've done a good chunk of highlight on the front of the shin or the thigh, compared to that leg that's gone underneath, and so you can do that nice sharper kind of line there where his chest is going, or his neck is going, curving under slightly, so it'll be a bit of highlight up there and a bit more shadow there. So now I'm going to start doing some shadows. Seem to be in a different position than before. Got some rubbish. Right, here we go. Right. So for this bit, I'm going to add, this is a favourite of mine, brown black. You could use black, but I'm going to use brown black. So I'm going to take some of my base colour, tiny little bit of brown black to it. So this is the first shadow. And we're going to do what we did with the highlights in reverse. Now you could do all of these one after the other. I've done the highlights and shadows, or highlights and blended them. This will still be a bit iterative, like this, for video purposes more than anything. But you should be able to see that I've done shadow on that side of the neck, in his neck, on that side there isn't any, so the idea here now is that I'm going to start adding some, maybe a bit more. You want this to be noticeable, but not bonkers. So I'm going to do under the chest, under his legs, the underside of that will end up having more shadow in it because it is right underneath. The underside of his leg opposite to the top of the thigh. Then I'm going to go through and put some of these in the lower portions of the musculatures. Yeah. So I guess like the first part with the highlights, I'm sketching. You can kind of flood the eye area with the shadow, because eventually that will have irises and pupils in. I kind of picked out that little creasy bit in the neck because it looked cool before, so I'm going to continue with those bits. You can start to see those areas with just a hint of black in them, or a black brown, just to add some shade and shape and form without being overly dominant. And fully on the underside of his face and his chin. I still haven't quite decided how I'm going to do the markings on him, or even the colour of his mane and tail at this point in time. It may end up being a lighter colour as I look at reference photos. Little bend here. One of those where if I zoom in, start to see those sort of shaded areas, just like before. You can see how the blending on the leg isn't perfect at this point. I can still going to go back, and you've probably guessed already, I'm going to go back and add. Bear in mind, it looks a bit rough like this, but that's my fingernail, so just to give you an idea of, just to prove that it's in front. The scale of this dude. So when you're actually looking at him with the naked eye, those blends aren't quite so grim. But yeah, now I'm going to add, zoom back out, just a little bit of more black into that base colour. It's quite dark now, but it's clearly not black. Thin it a bit more, and this time I'm going to go into areas which I would say are the deepest, like his butt. No, he's not hung like a horse, because he's not hung like anything, for he is a plastic model. That is all they are. But not a boy at all. Yeah, going into the deepest areas, right on the underside. Don't want to be black, they just need to be in a deeper shadow. Where this leg is coming forward in here, I probably want a little bit more darkness there, just to separate out that leg squashing up against his chest or his stomach. More shadow underneath, going up to his boots. See, I'd already done darker on that side because of the light effect. Other areas this could be done are where his ankle and stuff is bending and creating a sharp fold. I don't know, maybe just a little bit. Right, yeah, because if we look at directly under that rear leg, it would be in complete shadow. Maybe just a little bit more right under his chin. 10 minutes. Again, I can not go bonkers in the eye area, but nostrils. Like I say, they still might change colour. I am undecided, but underneath the ear. Okay. So I can always go back in and add more to those, but right now I'm just going to go and do what we did on the first one. In the bulk of that out, back to base colour. A little bit of a matte varnish in it. Thin it with water a little bit. You can see here I've got highlights, and that was the base colour just going back over, so that's the base colour again, maybe a little bit more translucent. And now the longish process of doing those transitions between light and dark. This time on the towards the dark side. For those shadows. Same principle, exactly the same principle. We're softening the boundary between those highlights, and you can also, because of the colour I'm using here, or going back to the base, I can, you can still see that I haven't really done it on the legs properly, but that's what I can go and fix up. And we are zoomed in ludicrously as well. Yeah, I can go through and make those little adjustments on the boundaries as long as I notice them. A lot of these I am noticing because I am looking at them zoomed in on a camera, which kind of exposes you considerably more than you would to the naked eye. Again, the idea here is we are creating the illusion or accentuating shape and form. We're accentuating the muscles, just so that when a viewer looks at your model, kind of doesn't just look like it just gives that little bit more for them to look in and go, oh, look at that, oh, I'm going to have a look at that, that's interesting. Look, painted the shadows and things, all that kind of stuff. Just adds interest. sometimes you don't even know it until you've done it, and people don't know it until they see it. But that is the thing that is appealing to them, and it's not just block colours. There are all sorts of interesting things going on. So I'm mainly just, if I was on camera, there you go, mainly just going over zones there. And blending those bits in. So I'm going to go off camera again and continue doing this. I'm liking, you know, this side isn't quite as nice as this side anymore. I like what I'm doing here now. Usually you paint the whole thing together, but I did that side first, like I said, and now I'm doing this side. So there's a level of difference between them, but you can see how putting those shadows around the chin and in the neck muscles just adds a little bit more to the figure. Okie doke, I shall catch you soon. Take care. Oh, there you go. Remember how big the thing is, it's not really very big. So when you're looking at it in normal naked eye, it's a lot more subtle than a zoomed in camera, splitting, contrasting bits. So there you go. Okay, cheers. What's next? Don't know. Find out in the next video.